Hey everyone, so yeah, I'm back. Today we are going to be looking at taking off the manifold with the precats. I've had a quick look in there, took the O2 sockets out yesterday and they're intact, but then this is an 05 car, so some design modifications were done to this manifold in the revision to make it a little bit more robust. So I've soaked the nuts on the manifold and what's known as the 3 amigos, which are the nuts that hold the manifold to the catalytic converter. I've just tried one in my impatience before I put the video camera on, and that's turned fine. So, and I use plus gas on those just to soak them for a few days before doing that. So if we just take a look in the engine bay, what we've got is there's the 5 manifold to head nuts and studs there. They can be a bit tricky. You're either going to have the option of the nut will happily come off, which is your best case scenario. It will come off with the stud winding out of the head, which is the second best case scenario, or worst case scenario is the stud snaps off. You have to drill out the stud, thread it or helicoil it, and then that is just a whole world of unpleasantness I don't want to be getting into. I've already taken off the heat shield. There's 2 lower bolts. I've got to be careful here because I've just driven the car here, so the manifold is pretty hot. There's 2 bolts at the front of the manifold heat shield at the top. They came out quite easily. The 2 on the top were completely rusted, primarily because there's water leaking through the high level brake light here, and we can see where it's dropped onto here, and I've got some sort of aluminium corrosion there which I'll clean up once I've done all this and sealed that up. So the 2 nuts holding that on there on the top were just rusted to hell. When I tried to take them off, they just crumbled, so in the end I took the O2 sockets out and just bent that thing up and down, and you can see there where the brackets that held that on, I just snapped them off to get it off. It doesn't make any difference to me because I'm not going to be reusing this manifold, but if you want to reuse the heat shields, you can either do that, drill them out on the comfort of your own bench or on the floor or whatever, but I just needed to get this thing off so I could get to spraying these and get access to these. So yeah, I'm in the luxury of using my son's unit today, which he stores multitude of awesome and amazing cars as I look around. Some are here, some are not. We've got a Honda Integra Type R, which was imported from Japan. We've got his newest acquisition, which is Mazda RX-7. That thing is like the Batmobile, absolutely amazing. And out the front, which you can't see, is a Toyota Chaser on a 1JZ turbo engine. So let me know in the comments if you want to see some more things about these cars, and what I'll do is I'll basically steal them off Tom for the day and we'll do a bit of a review and yeah, so let's get on with loosening up these, see how we get on. I want to do the manifold first and then we're going to do the back box. Let's go. Right, so they've come out okay and I'm very pleased with that. That was fine. What you don't want to do is go beast mode on these things because you'll definitely snap them off. That one was fine. That one you're going to need a shallow socket and then get that off. Perhaps it'll be easier with a ratchet spanner, but you can do it with a normal spanner. But it is easier if you use a deep socket. These are 12 mil bolts. So yeah, so these have all come off fine. So I've just got to take that last one off just down there, and then that's the top part of the manifold undone, and then we're on to the 3 amigos. Okay, so sit rep, 3 amigos broke off pretty easily. I used a 2-foot breaker bar on the socket. I didn't go mad, just give it a little bit of pull to undo those, and they've loosened off fine. The nut has come off with the stud, but that's fine, they're off and they're out and they're undoing, so that's good. So we should be getting the manifold out shortly, and then we'll be able to put the new one in. Good times. Right, so this is the manifold out, and this is the underneath of the precats and the honeycomb structure. So if we just have if I zoom in a bit there so we can see a bit better. So the structure, they're a bit dirty and a bit clogged up, but the structure of these is absolutely fine. There's no breakdown at all. And the same with the other one on the other side there. Right, so here we are looking in the engine. Obviously I've got no leak here from the exhaust output. Gasket's been sealing fine. The studs are okay. I'll give them a little bit of a wire brush before these go on. What I would say with these, just to finish up with these studs, is I didn't when I was undoing them, I didn't wind them straight off. Give them a little bit of a clean. Obviously had plus gas sprayed on them over a couple of days, multiple times, and then it was sort of wind on, wind off, wind on, wind off. So they came off quite happily. And then just down here, this is the bottom bracket of the manifold, and this is the part of the Precat manifold that they changed to prevent resonance in that manifold to stop that honeycomb structure from breaking up. And that obviously has worked okay because mine are intact 14 years later. So that's the top of the cat. So what we'll do is we'll get the manifold bolted up, and then we'll get to changing out the rear box. Yep, everything's out there, and we've got to get the rear box off. Issue with getting the rear box off is these here, that one and the other one back behind there, massively corroded. So we're going to give it a little bit of heat, see if we can get it out that way. If we can't, we might just have to chop them. I've got replacements for the other exhaust, so that's fine. So we've taken off the rear bumper. We didn't video that because there's lots of videos on YouTube and how-tos on the interwebs as to how to do that. And then we took off the heat shield, which is just over there, look. Took that off, and then the two sort of support brackets which sort of trap that in. You've got to take them off to be able to get that off, and then you get immediate and easy access to that back box. So we're just waiting for our heat gun to heat up a bit there, and then we'll be heating this thing up, and that's now the only thing stopping us from just rebuilding everything back together and getting the job done. So let's see how we get on. So here we go, everything's out. There's just the catalytic converter left there, ready to bolt up. New gaskets. Block there. Interestingly, I think it was about 2 years ago I changed the oil seal on that there. Hang on. Where are we? I'm not sure if we can see, it's a bit dark. Tom, could you get that torch for me, please? Oh yeah, so it is. Let's try the other light. There we go. That's better, yeah. So that there, I changed the, that's the timing chain tensioner. So I've changed that, and we can see there, that is leaking again. So I'm going to change that, and I think I'll be going for one of those Viton slightly bigger seals, because I bought the Toyota one and that obviously hasn't done the job. So there we go. So now, in actual fact, just while I'm here, let's have a look at how crusty my anti-roll bar is there. And I've got a new white line one to go in. So now it is bolt everything back up and job done. Easier said than done. Here we go. Okay, so manifolds in. I just want to point out a couple of things. So this was the Garage 59 manifolds. Could call it manifold. The holes for these studs are a little bit tight, so I just used the back of a hammer, you know, the handle of the hammer, just to tease them on. And these two brackets here, let's get a better angle there. Yeah, so the brackets that hold the bottom here, my advice to you would be just slacken them off, because on one side it was right up against where it bolts in. Just, let's see if I can get in there a bit better. There we go. Yeah, so that side there was right in against, and it wouldn't let the manifold go back. So my advice would be just slack, you don't have to take them off, but just slack the bolts off so they've got a bit of wiggle, and then that will just go in there fine. Right, let's get it bolted up. Okay, so here we are, manifold is on. So a couple of things to think about is you might need a small 3/8 torque wrench for the manifold to head bolts, because it's pretty tight trying to get a 1/2 inch torque wrench. Torque setting wise, manifold bolts are 44, and the 3 Amigos Cat 2 manifold bolts here underneath, they are 62 Newton meters. So 44 Newton meters, all those 5 along there, 62 Newton meters. Those there, I don't know what that is in foot-pounds, but I'm sure it's easy enough to find out. Yeah, so that's that. Next bit is just got to get the rear box in now, and then reassemble the car. Right, so here we are, twin tail, the oval tipped back box. It's a long life back box. If I want to pay the money, I can have the lifetime warranty extended through to me. Apologies for the rattling, it's the unit door there. So yeah, it went easier than I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to have some real trouble. So can I have my light please, assistant? So something to bear in mind, and people have spoken about this before, is this O2 sensor here. That's fine. Where the O2 socket there is a bit lower, I've had to unclip that from, can you come this side please? I've had to unclip that from there to give it a little bit more reach. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll chop that wire and extend it so that can get plugged back into where it needs to go, just there. It's not much. If you had about an extra 2 inches of cable, you'd be fine, but it's just how it is, so I'll have to attend to that at another time. So we're all done. Let's go for a first start.